How you doing, YouTube? Mountain Massive Beer Reviews back with yet another review, and it is dry log time. Funky, weird, Dennis dry log time, in the form of the Plague. Love this beer. Well, I loved last year's version of this beer. Rewind. I started doing dry log reviews a while ago, and ended up striking a friendship with the owner and brewer at Draai Laag, and ended up going down and visiting him. It was last year in October when this beer was released. Well, last year's version of it. Well, not last year because it's February, so 2015. So let's put it that way. And picked up some and reviewed it. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Remember distinctly the flavors in this beer. So hopefully this one's similar but different because I like each year's to be a little bit different. Anyway, couldn't make it down there this year, but I was lucky enough to find folks at Draai Laag send me off a box of beer, and this was in there. So I was kind of in the mood for something similar to this tonight. So we're going to crack into it and see what she's got. But first, before we get into that, what's it say on the label? It says here, Draai Laag Brewing Company. The Plague, ale fermented red raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries. On the side, it says collaboration with Caliente Pizza and Draft House out there in Pittsburgh. Well, on the edge of Pittsburgh. Millvale, I believe. It started with a Belgian-inspired stout and our French Oak Petite Syrah wine casks. Aged and unaged batches were blended and fermented over a trio of fresh briar berries. The result, a dark wild brew that's infectiously complex. He puts always kind of nerdy stuff on here, so if you're nerds in the room, it had 16 Plato, 1.080 SG for the original gravity. Gravity. Apparent degree of attenuation, 88%, and made with Brettanomyces lambicus. Brewed and bottled by hand in Pittsburgh, PA, and Allison Park, PA. Label looks identical to the one that they did last year. There might be a little bit of coloration difference. I'm not quite sure. I believe this is actually one of the labels that kicked off their new labeling designs for their beers. So it's pretty cool to see it kind of come full circle. So yeah, I love this beer. Like I said last year, got a little proper glassware, even though we're going a little dirty here. My dishwasher's been fucking up. I know I shouldn't be putting beers in the dishwasher. There's something funky in there. Hopefully that doesn't screw the beer up. Anyway, but yeah. Anyway, ooh, big hiss on this. This beer wants to come out of this bottle, but it's not like pouring out. It's not like an infection kind of thing. It's more of the wild yeast that Draai Laag does. For those that don't know, Draai Laag Brewing out of Pittsburgh area, I should say. All the wild ales. That's what they do. That's their jam. They're very creative. They do a lot of Belgian-inspired stuff, as you would assume, being that they're into the wild fermentation. But yeah, they're not necessarily a sour brewery, even though they kind of dip into that. They're more of a wild yeasty critters, as Dennis likes to put it, kind of brewery. So, I mean, the head has a creaminess to it, but it almost looks like the top of like a root beer float kind of thing going on in there. And it has very lively kind of carbonation, kind of still bubbling up on the edges. It really wants to keep that head, but the typical wildness of it kind of wants to drown it out. Color-wise, it's dark. I mean, it's definitely stout in color. It's like straight up like dark. It looks like like root beer or just straight up like cola, which might be a thing. A little foreshadowing here. Last year I got a lot of like Coke vibes off of that sucker. So let's get a nose on her and see what she's got. Yeah, very similar to last year. I'm super impressed. I'm getting absolute like cola vibes off this. Those berries shine through. It's a mixture of like blue and deep, rich red kind of berryness to it. The wine comes off very musty. It's not like a tart kind of wine in the nose. It's more like mustiness, that kind of grapiness in the bottom. You combine that with the kind of aged with the berries, you got a little cola in there. It's just a whole bunch of explosion of kind of flavors that are all over the place. Very electric. This beer is very vibrant, very electric. Yeah, and I can hear the carbonation from here. It's another reason why I get those kind of soda vibes from this. It's just so prickling and so vibrant that it's just like screaming to be drank. So yeah, nice sweetness to it, beautiful sweetness to it, but there's an underlying tartness to it. You get those kind of berries in there, their fresh fruitiness. You almost get that kind of smell of that kind of that yeast, that kind of powder that you get on sometimes on the outside of like fresh picked berries. Then you have that kind of like wine mustiness. I'm not getting a ton of oakiness in the nose, but it could be overpowered by all those other flavors. I'm going to find out in the mouth. I'm talking a lot because I'm excited. So let's just dive in. Cheers. Drier. And not as sweet as last year's based off of memory. It's not that it's not doesn't have a sweetness to it. Big blast of tartness. Before you even kind of go to swallow it, it just sits there. You definitely have the same kind of like cola. It's not even like Coca-Cola. It's like RC Cola vibes. Those berries are nice, and that's where I think I'm getting a lot of that tartness from. I'm sure the fucking Brett has a lot to do with it too, but I feel like I'm getting this tartness, not just from the berries, but I assume just from kind of all kinds of funkiness that goes into a lot of their beers. Could be a little bit from the wine too. It's not super tart wine-wise, but it's tart beer-wise. And it's got a nice mouthfeel to it. What I call a stout, it's kind of a hard thing to say because when you're talking about having like a wild stout or a wild dark thick beer, they tend to thin out a little bit. It's just the way the beers kind of work. It's really hard to get a super dense sour beer proper. But yeah, this is just my kind of shit. This is the shit I love. I love a lot of different kind of beers. And I've grown into some beers that I usually haven't liked in the past. Some still escape me. But just from a base kind of visceral standpoint, this is where it works for me. You get that funky yeast. You get that Brett kind of working in a dark beer when itself can be a little bit odd. Then you get that, like I said, the berry bringing a little bit even more tartness to it, but a little bit of sweetness to it. Combine that with the barrels, the wine barrels, the mustiness I'm getting from it. Even a little bit more tartness, a little different tartness. It's like a complex kind of tartness going on here, multiple levels. But then you have enough sweetness to carry it through. Like I said, I believe last year's was a little bit sweeter. In a perfect world, I'd like this just a sweeter, just to kind of balance it just a little bit more for me. But at the same time, I'm kind of picking kind of hairs here. And the carbonation on it, that liveliness, to have that tartness, to have that robust tartness combined with that much vibrant carbonation in a darker beer is straight up wizardry in a very fucking fun way. This is one of the funner beers that I had of last year, and it's definitely one of the funner beers I had this year because it is just that fucking fun. F-U-N, however you want to spell it, F-O, with an umlaut, with an N, I don't care. It's fun. Fun. All kinds of funness. So yeah, let's talk about it. Is it one of the better wine barrel aged, wild fermented stout, oak aged stouts I've had as late? Yeah, because it's the only one. Is it one of the more funner beers that I've had of late? Yes. Value and availability. Again, last year I think I was paying $13 to $15 for these. I didn't this year. I was lucky enough to get one sent to me, but I'm assuming they're right around the same price. Availability, again, brewery only with this one with Draai Laag. And just say if you like what we like this. If you like Belgian beers, if you like tart, funky beers. I'm not going sour. This isn't enamel ripping this. This is not your Cascades of the world. If you like, if you like tart nuance, if you like multiple levels of tartness, if you like soda, if you like Coca-Cola, if you like RC and you wish they made a beer, it's way more better because that's English than that. But if you're just in an interesting beer, fun beers, it's definitely worth giving a whirl because it is just the funnerest. So there you go, another review in the books. Hopefully, guys enjoyed the review as much as I did. If you didn't, down there, comment and stuff. If you want to check me out in other places, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then tap Massive Beers in all four of those places. And there you go. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully, enjoying a nice Wild by Design beer right now. And hopefully, see you next time. Cheers.